Today we celebrate the end of the liturgical year, and we celebrate the solemnity of Jesus Christ, King of the universe. And, again, in a nation that has been, a democratic republic for 249 years, we're kind of out of touch with the reality of monarchy. And, obviously our nation's founding on the rebelling against, a monarch, and one that, whether he was that terrible or not, we'll tell the story. He's a horrible man in a horrible situation for our country. So, we broke free and now we rule ourselves, and, there is something beautiful about, entrusting our governance to other people. Yeah, but in some ways it's also comes with such a different responsibility. And we don't appreciate the way that God has given authority over the course of time, and the fact that we don't end up with, wonderful and good monarchs throughout history, that's not God's fault. And it doesn't necessarily mean that monarchy is wrong. It just like everything, it goes sideways. Look at our own way of governing. It's going sideways, so, sin messes everything up and clouds our own images of Jesus Christ, the King of the universe. What does it mean for him to rule over us? And again, too, I guess in some ways, even as I name this video, it may not get so much into the scriptures themselves, but you'll hear them, you'll get into them, references to kingship, and we almost need more work on what we're bringing to the reception of those images. And that's it. We need habilitation. So what does it mean that Jesus is going to rule over the entire universe? It shouldn't be, like what normally comes to people's hearts and minds, a pitting of his will versus my will. A lot of times there's just this internal struggle of Jesus is dragging me into submission to his will. It's like, that's not it at all. I was just recently talking to somebody about freedom. In our country, it's so much about freedom, but the difference between liberty and license, and liberty itself, being the freedom to choose what's good every time without hesitation. If I am truly free, I know that my life is ordered towards, a way of living and truth and goodness and beauty, and it's ordered towards God, and I choose that every time. License is what probably most people in our culture typically, think about when they think of freedom. And that's, more like the freedom to choose between good or evil without somebody influencing my decision. It's like, well, that's not freedom at all. That's you're bound by, the thought of doing something other than what you're ordered to, other than what you've been created for. And Jesus' rule over the whole universe is really about bringing us to a place where we live towards what we're ordered to. That our lives might be ones in which we choose what is good every time without hesitation. And that itself, brings us the fulfillment and the delight that the good is capable of. But when I'm enticed by good and evil, I'm not free, But when I know that I'm choosing the good every time, freedom, delight in that same virtue. So much of this feast, really is about Jesus' reign in our hearts, in our world, and bringing us to a place of freedom in choosing what's good in him.